Industrial Annihilation is a cursed project, man, I swear. Around 7 months ago, I made a video covering the game's early access launch, and I was not kind to it. Not for no reason. It was buggy, it had no content, and it ran poorly. I said at the time, but calling it a game at all was generous. If you want to get caught up with the story of Industrial Annihilation, I'd recommend going back and watching the couple of videos I've done on it, as they will explain in much more detail what got us to this point. And if you enjoyed them, drop a sub for more videos like them in the future. But otherwise, here's the quick version. Industrial Annihilation was announced back in 2023 and listed on Start Engine, an investment platform for supporting new companies, not developing games. It was created by Galactic Annihilation, a new company founded by some of the C-suite from Uber Entertainment, who you may remember from Planetary Annihilation and, to start with, KSP2. On the investment page, they made some wild claims about potential market sizes and gloated about how much money they'd made with Planetary Annihilation. At the same time as this, you could also pre-order the game on their website for $30 US, with no protection from things like Steam's refund policy or even the promise of potential far array returns through an investment, like you would have gotten on Start Engine. Then, in late 2024, Industrial Annihilation launched into early access on Steam, again asking for more money to fund its development. And before that, it even had a Kickstarter in there, which it raised like $300,000 on? And yeah, as mentioned, when it released, it was bad. Really bad. So bad, in fact, that in my video about it, I said I didn't think I'd ever be coming back to it, because of how much of a bad taste it left in my mouth. But I mean that for me, not the developers. I didn't mean that the developers would never come back. I did expect them to actually finish the game at some point, but man, I am extremely doubtful that that is ever going to happen. I need to impress on you guys how over it is for this game, because even with all that explaining, I don't think you can quite understand. Like, Industrial Annihilation peaked at 349 players on launch day, and that was 8 months ago. And if you don't think that was bad, over the last 6 months, it's had a peak player count of 12 people. 12! And even that halved to just 6 over the past 3 months. I guess I don't blame people for not coming back, as the update history for this inactive development early access game is comically short. I mean, on the surface it sounds okay, the game's had upwards of a dozen updates since it launched, but when you look closely and realize that all but 2 of these came out in the first couple of weeks of the game releasing, it starts to make more sense. 2 weeks into 2025, it got one more update, and then 3 months later, in April, it got the tiniest of patches. And since then, literally nothing. Dead silence. As of today, all the links to their Discord are dead, there have been no social media posts on any of their channels that I could find for a long time. Yeah, this is bad, man. This game is done. And not in a good way. On launch, it was effectively a glorified tech demo, showcasing what could be in the future, but nowhere close to what I would call a complete pre-release build. With its 7 months of updates, it is admittedly slightly better now, with a few more missions, a database explaining the game's mechanics, but it's still not even what I would say is bare minimum for a viable early access release. And man, 7 months? This is what you got done in over half a year? I expect sweeping changes and updates in that time, not basically the same game with a few little extras. The tutorials are still painfully lacking. It now just opens a menu and hopes you read the relevant portions rather than having any walkthroughs on screen. I guess that's better than before, where there was literally nothing. And the presentation is still just really bad. There's no ambient music. Pretty sure there's still only one music track, and there's not much else. And just to make it worse, and it's just kind of funny at this point, the music sometimes just stops. Like, listen to this. This is unedited footage of how the game plays and how it sounds. And yes, the volume is up. I checked. To be clear, while this is kind of funny, I don't take joy in this. Honestly, it does make me pretty mad. It is the absolute worst of what early access has to offer. Empty promises that the company behind them made some money from, who then pulled the plug effective immediately for whatever reason. Probably once it became clear how underbaked this game actually was and how little people actually cared about it. But they'd already asked for the money up front, and yeah, I guess this whole thing is me giving them the benefit of the doubt that this wasn't just a snatch and grab from the start, which if it was is obviously awful. I don't think it was, to be clear. I do think they had good intentions from the beginning, but who knows what actually happened in the months before and after its release. Like, they were marketing this thing for a while, and all that money from Start Engine and Kickstarter and the, I don't know, hundreds of copies they sold on Steam Early Access, that has to have gone somewhere, right? Man, I don't know. In earlier videos, I said I don't have anything against these people personally, and look, I still don't. I know game dev is hard, I know it's expensive, and I know there are unforeseen hurdles that can kill projects that the outside world will know nothing about. But as humans, we have pattern recognizing brains, and it's naive to not see another one here. Like, how many times is the same C-suite going to leave people questioning their financial decisions? Like, I'd love to be proven wrong, but I just don't see how you can't see repeated behavior of shortchanging the consumer over the last 10 or 15 years. And remember, these are the people who actually believe you can make a good game. They're giving you their money and you are leaving them out to dry again. Like it happened with Planetary Annihilation and Standalone Expansion. It almost happened with Human Resources. Luckily, that money through Kickstarter was refunded. Something happened with Kerbal Space Program 2, though to their credit, it could have been entirely out of their control, who knows. And it's happened again here with Industrial Annihilation. Considering how undercooked this game was on launch, I wouldn't be surprised if after its announcement, the only thing that ever existed for it was what you saw in the trailer and the marketing material to try and sell more copies. I really don't think there was anything playable at this point. I'm usually not in the advice giving business, but I'm going to give some for free right now. For any aspiring developers out there, and especially to the management behind Industrial Annihilation, make the game first, then ask the public for money. Make something that's playable, something that's fun, doesn't have to be big, something that gives people a reason to support you, and not just your names or previous projects you've worked on. Don't release the equivalent of a cake that hasn't even had its ingredients mixed and ask people to eat it. If you can't do that, if you can't make something good first, a vertical slice, a demo, anything that proves you can actually make this game before you start asking people for what is hundreds of thousands, or potentially millions of dollars, with practically nothing to show for it, maybe this whole thing just isn't meant to be. Maybe this isn't for you. If it's not crystal clear at this point, there is no world where you should be buying this game. If you did already have the privilege of owning it, I would be looking for a refund. I'm sure Steam will probably give you a refund with no questions asked, considering it's effectively a dead product at this point. And in the future, if the people behind this game come back with another new title, asking for more of your money, I wouldn't even consider getting my wallet out of my pocket until that game is shipped and done. And I would implore you to do the same. Thanks so much for watching, and to my supporters who keep the lights on here, over on Patreon, and here on YouTube memberships. That's Takayo, Bad Ghosts, Sean, Greyspirit 4, George, Pavel, Bram, Christian, Dan, Orion, Dasrufkin, and Candy Bunny Bun, and my Paladins, Johnny, Marika, Tank, and Empyrean. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.